I want to take a moment to thank today's sponsor, Rome Pre-Owned Sales, located at 949 Floyd Avenue in Rome. If you're in the market for a quality pre-owned vehicle and great customer service, make sure you check them out. A special thank you to General Manager Anthony Mariani for his support of the Rockpile Sports Network and local sports here in the Mohawk Valley. Your sponsorship truly helps us continue to highlight our athletes, coaches, and teams. If you or your business are interested in sponsoring the Rockpile Sports Network, feel free to reach out to me directly at coachkorg23@gmail.com. Let's welcome everybody to the Mohawk Valley Sportswatch here on Sunday morning. Welcome to the Mohawk Valley Sports Watch. Thanks for making us part of your Sunday morning here. Big stories, big names, local sports at its best. This is the Mohawk Valley Sports Watch. Hopefully everybody had a nice Easter last weekend. Happy to be back behind the mic here this morning to talk some local sports. I'm going to be joined by two local coaches here in Rome. We'll kick things off with RFA softball head coach Emily Cowell. And then we'll be followed up by Rome Free Academy baseball coach Evan Howard. He'll join me at the bottom of the hour. And I want to make sure I thank everybody, too, for that's followed me on the Wolverines Daily podcast. That's going extremely well. So I appreciate all the follows, the comments, the like, and subscribes. So make sure to continue to follow that as well. I'm kind of in one of those dull periods here from a national scene. It's never dull from the local sports scene, but from the national scene, you have the Final Four college basketball, men's and women's is done. That's a huge hit. And now you have we have the Masters will finish up today, but we don't have any basketball for a little while. College football. We have a lot of recruiting news going on, but we'll have college football back here in August. Before we know it, we'll be talking high school football. I can't wait to do that. But I never, ever like to do that too fast, because that only means we push the spring and the summer past us. And we don't want to do that at all, especially because we don't get much of that sun. I want to give a special shout to my wife. It was my daughter's birthday this past week as well. We took a day trip yesterday to Boston. Not a bad drive, a 4-hour drive down, 4-hour drive back. We went down to the aquarium. We stopped over at Quincy Market, did a little shopping. My son bought a Patriot shirt. He is a Giants fan, but I was telling the guy at the booth, I said, this really pains me because I got to buy something Boston. But luckily, my son and my daughter didn't want anything Red Sox, so that was good news. But he got a Patriots hoodie. We got lacrosse season in full swing. Baseball I think they're 2 games into the season. We'll talk to Coach Emily in a little bit. They were down in Myrtle Beach, so we'll talk to her about how the team did out there down in Myrtle Beach. And then we'll get the schedules for this week. I believe both teams are in action this week. We'll see if any of the games are at home. Excited to talk to both coaches. We'll have Emily joining us here in just a little bit. We'll talk to her about last season's sectional title run for them. It's a team that's loaded with upperclassmen this year, so we'll talk to her about the roster a little bit. Who are some of the names we can expect to hear from? We'll do the same with Coach Howard. They fell yesterday to I think they played South Colony. I think it was 5-4. Really good game that they fell yesterday. I believe that game was right here on the new field, which I have not seen yet. I saw the pictures online. So I'm going to have to get up and watch some softball, watch some baseball this spring to check out the fields. I saw the post. I've driven by it, but I've never really seen the games in action just yet. I'll ask the coaches what their thoughts are on the beautiful facility. Hopefully that translates. We can get a beautiful football stadium. We can get that thing repaired and have a new stadium for Friday nights would be awesome here in Rome. I know there's a lot of talk about some changes with some of the proposals that I've seen online. I don't get into that stuff on this show. I don't get into politics here on Sports Watch. I stay away. So I'm not going to dive too much into it, but I saw some pictures, some proposals. Looks really nice up there at the hangar with the sports complex. Hopefully that comes comes to light here, that would be fantastic. Hopefully, my kids will get an opportunity there. My son, who's at eighth grader, I'm hoping if that happens within the next 2 to 3 years, he'll get at least a chance at it. But I think my daughter will get a chance at it as well. So hopefully that comes to the forefront here pretty soon. So we'll see the Masters today. I didn't get a chance to watch it yesterday because we were on the road quite a bit yesterday. I saw that Rory McIlroy was caught. They're both minus 11. So we'll see if Rory can hang on today and win another Masters. He's led basically start to finish. So we'll see if experience comes into play today on the final day. And I know people don't like this. Some like Tiger Woods, some don't. And I'm going to throw this out there just for a minute here while I wait for Coach Emily. I always said back in the day, you could not beat Sunday, a major, with Tiger in the red and Phil Mickelson in contention. The two of them in a major in contention was awesome. I miss those days. I know there's a lot of young guns now in the golf world. I don't follow it as much as I used to. I'll still watch today, of course, but I don't follow it like I used to. But I do miss those old days with those two guys coming in on Sunday. If they were even near the leaderboard, I think it made for a Sunday major that much better. And hopefully Tiger gets some help. I saw that he is going to go off the grid here for a little bit and get himself some help, whether it's the painkillers is what everybody's saying that it is with him, and for as many surgeries as the guy's had. Hopefully he can get things straightened out. Was whether you like him or not, he's still, to me, he's the second best golfer of all time. He's never passed Jack Nicklaus. I'm a Jack guy, so I would still say Jack's the best all time. Tiger's probably the best of this generation, but we'll see. But hopefully he gets the help he needs. Michigan wins the national championship. You can see from behind me. Yes, I am a Michigan basketball fan. I'm more of a Gonzaga fan, Michigan football fan, of course. But it was nice to see Coach Dusty May and the guys cut the nets down. They cruised through the NCAA tournament. They cruised. When I watched that UConn game, UConn had tied it early at like 23 apiece or something like that. I never really felt that UConn was closing the gap where UConn was really a threat to win that game. I think Michigan was just a better team. And the scary thing is Michigan's going to bring back a lot of those players from that national championship team. And it's so crazy because I've talked about it a lot on the college on the Michigan podcast channel, is that, the world of the NIL we live in today, where you got guys that are basically first round draft picks that are going to stay in college because they're going to make as much money as if they would be if they were picked 15. Now, if you're picks 1 through 5, that might be a little bit different. But those guys that are outside the top 10, the money is better in college. So you're going to see a lot of those guys come back. I'm anxious to see what Mike Malone does in North Carolina. I think it's a good hire for North Carolina. We'll see. He retains some of the NC staff on that coaching staff, so we'll see what Mike Malone can do. I said this for the Duke fans, and I know there's a lot of Duke fans. I've never been crazy about Duke. I'll say this. I think John Shire's done a fantastic job for Coach K, but, Herbert Davis, who got fired from North Carolina, got fired. They lost their star player, and at one point they were top 5, playing really well. So they get beat in the NCAA tournament. How come nobody talks about John Shire the last 2 to 3 years with all that NBA talent? How come nobody talks about his name? Now, don't get me wrong. He's done a fantastic job recruiting classes. He's got NBA guys on that team. He's basically taken the program, being handed it to him from Coach K. It hasn't taken a step backwards at all. But nobody was talking about, well, Duke's bailed out the last 2 rounds, and they were number 1 seeds with all that NBA talent. Hubert Davis loses his best player, and if his best player played, I really think they could have made a run in this tournament, who, by the way, he won a national championship, been to a Final Four, winning percentage was like 80%, and they fired him. So Mike Malone's got his hands full, but that's the day we live in here of college sports. But enough about this college basketball crap. We got to talk some RFA softball here. Got to bring Coach Emily on here with me now. She's probably sick of listening to me talk college basketball, saying hoop season's over, it's softball season. Let's get in this thing. Coach, how are you this morning?
I'm good, thank you. How are you? And by the way, John Shire is one of my favorite Duke alum. I have a John Shire jersey. I watched him during his tenure at Duke. Duke's my favorite team. So I could listen to you talk about that all day.
Well, as I was just saying, I don't want to digress too much. I think he's done a fantastic job taking that over from Coach K. But the last 2 years he's had some NBA talent. He's had really good recruiting classes. They've bailed out. Now I didn't have them winning it this year. I had them in the championship game against Michigan, but nobody's really talked about any of that stuff because he has done a great job there.
Yeah, I mean, he had the biggest shoes to fill. He had the
Yep.
most pressure out of anybody, I mean, Coach Krzyzewski is probably the best, NCAA basketball coach of the era. So, the fact that he's been able to not only take over and continue success, but also, allow the team to move into, the new generation of coaching and the new generation of playing. I think he's done a fantastic job, and, I love watching it.
Coach, you got a little sunburn, so I'm a little bit jealous because my wife we didn't go anywhere this year for spring break because my son's
Yeah.
playing lacrosse, so they had a couple of days of practice. But you got a little color to you. I'm a little jealous. I'm about as white as a ghost.
We,
Full of
uh, we
hair.
we just got back from Myrtle Beach. We, played 4 games down there this year. This was my first time organizing that trip. I'm glad we went. I'm glad that we, got to get out on the field and play some really high quality teams. We did go 0 for 4, but, I say this to everybody. I'd rather go down there and get our teeth knocked in by some really high quality teams versus going down there and playing scrub teams and winning 15 to nothing. Because when you win games like that, it doesn't really expose what you need to work on. And we had a lot of great things happen. I mean, we were in it for most of the games, and we kind of lost it in the last couple innings when the other teams were taking off hitting. But we we exposed some of the things we got to work on, and it's really made myself and my coaching staff and my kids hungry to come back and work. And that's what we're going to do. And, I'm excited that we're starting off this season with 2 of the best teams in the area, our highest competition in the area, New Hartford and Whitesboro this week as our kickoff games back home. So, yeah, got a little color. Thursday, we finished our last game in the morning, and then I said to the kids, "Hey, now if you wanna go out to the beach and get burnt, it's all good." 'Cause I told them, I was like, "I know we're in Myrtle Beach, but I'm telling you right now, girls, if you spend 2 or 3 hours outside and we gotta go play a game tomorrow morning, you're not gonna you're
Yeah.
not gonna feel good because your body is your resource. So you gotta take care of it and and do that to the best of your abilities so that way you can perform."
So, Coach, last year you guys go on that great run. You win a Section 3 title, which was awesome to see softball back in the spotlight. It was awesome
Yeah,
to see it. Great run.
thank
You
you.
guys finished, I think it was 14-7 with the Section
Mhm.
3 title. What did
Yeah.
that journey mean for you guys in the program last year?
Oh my gosh, for me personally, because obviously I can only talk about how my vision of it, it all happened so fast. It was like a blur and a blink. I mean, to the point where everybody's pinpointing exactly the out and exactly the game and exactly the hit. And for me, it all happened so fast because this is my first year coaching varsity in this program, and all eyes are on us. And I'm worried about everything from whether or not this kid is sick to practice plan to what's my JV and modified team doing to organizing coaching staff and making sure that the kids are doing the right things. And the next thing you know, we just made it to the Section 3 championship. And we said from the very beginning, I mean, I told the kids flat out in March, and I even said to you on this podcast, didn't I? I said, we're going to go out and win this thing because we got the talent, we got the horses in the barn. And it all happened so fast. It was a blur. But something that really um, meant the most to me was how many people came out to support and came up to me and sent me a text message, gave me a phone call and said, "Congrats, coach. Your team deserved it. You deserved it. Your whole program deserved it." I mean, it's been 37, 38 years, whatever it was since we
Yep.
won a title. And we had made it to the stage a couple of times with some really good teams. And the fact that we went out and did it was just awesome. The kids really deserved it. And there's 2 things that I'll always remember from that. Right before the game started at Carrier Park, I get the girls together. We're about to take the field. We're the home team. And Haley Bostwick, I mean, you've had Haley on the
Yep.
on the show
Yep.
before. She also plays basketball. Haley Bostwick says, "Hey, coach, we've been talking about this game since March, and here we are." And I
Yeah,
said,
that's
"Yep,
awesome.
here we are." And I said, "I told you you'd do it, and I know we're gonna go out and do it right now. Just play well, everybody."
Well, I gotta
And
tell
they
you,
did.
I went back and watched the interview from you and I from last season, and I'm like listening to it. I'm like, a lot of the stuff she said, I'm like, she was confident. She came right out and said, if this team plays
Yeah,
the way they're capable of, and I'm like, just about everything you said on that podcast, that's kind of how the season played out. So I
yeah,
thought that was really cool. But I got to ask you this one because
yeah,
I got
sure.
to be honest with you. I thought last year I was like, the year before, I think you guys won 11 games. I think you were just over 500. And I
Yeah,
said, okay, huge improvement year one, year two. I thought you guys were a year away. Like, I thought this year coming up, because you got a lot of seniors on this group, you got a lot of
yeah.
upperclassmen. I'm like, you know what? They're probably a year away. Do you think that did you guys overachieve last year? Were you a year or two ahead of what you
No,
thought?
I don't think so at all. I think the previous season and 2 seasons, I think it was just like they had the talent then too. I think it was just mental maturity, and that's just something that happens when it happens, you know?
Yep.
I mean, I'll say this over and over again. Coach Jerry Klaczynski, I love that guy. He did a phenomenal job bringing these kids up and getting them to that stage, and when it was time for him and he wanted to step back, he handed me a silver platter, and all I had to do was just not drop it. And they were that the group that are seniors now, they were juniors last year, obviously, and they were finally upperclassmen. They made it to the stage. You know, they were still being reared up in years past.
Yep.
I think we exactly achieved what we meant to achieve. And I want to do the same thing this year. I want to just focus on the day ahead of us and nothing more. And it's pretty clear that it's hard to come back from being a championship team because sometimes in practices and you're hitting the ball great in front toss and you're like, "Ooh, this is awesome." And you get out and you play a quality team and you're like, "Whoa, we got a lot to work on," which is what happened this last week. So, that's me as a coach. I'm reflecting and making sure that the girls are ready. We got a lot to work on, and I think the best thing we can do this year is just focus on one day in front of us. That's it.
So,
And do
Coach,
it to the best of our ability.
I mentioned you have a lot of seniors on this group, and how important you think that leadership is coming off a year where you guys do win the Section 3 championship. How important is that leadership going to be for you guys from start to finish?
It's paramount. I mean, this graduating class is the persona of this program. I mean, they've been on varsity since they were all in ninth grade, and they've been a part of this program for a very long time since they were little. It's funny, most of them are gonna be coming out to CNY Elevate today because the Rome Girls Softball League is doing their tryouts there today. And, their leadership extends even past this season. This season, it's gonna be what it is. We're gonna do our very best. We're gonna go out there, we're gonna compete, we're gonna hopefully go out and win another championship because we have everything that we need to make that happen. But this group, their reach goes far beyond this last season. They're they're extending to the younger level. This is exactly what a phenomenal program does, is that they leave a legacy that goes past the 4 years that they're in high school. And I sent them a text message while we were all traveling back saying, if you girls can make it, that would be great. And, every single senior commented back, and a lot of them are going to come and show up today and just reach out to those little kids. And I guarantee 6 years from now, those kids that are going through that Rome Girls Softball League rec league right now, when they make it up to the varsity program, I'll be like, "Hey, you remember when Michaela Howard was at your tryout? Remember when Kennedy Campbell was at your tryout? Remember these girls?" And they come back and watch the games. This is what it's about. This is what it's about, just reaching generation after generation. So their leadership is paramount to the future success of the program, not just this year.
And you mentioned two of those names. It's almost like you're reading my notes over here. I was going to have you talk a little bit about some of those seniors. And Kennedy Campbell, Michaela Howard were two of them. And
Yeah.
I know Haley Boswick's injury hurt you guys because she was so fun to watch play. She was great to watch in basketball. I loved covering her.
Yeah.
But talk to us about some of those seniors and some of the names we can expect to see this year.
Yeah, well, I'll start with Kennedy. I mean, she's been a part of the varsity program basically since she could walk. And she's our it girl. She's our senior leader. She's our center fielder. She's been captain the last 2 years, last year and this year. And with Haley obviously going down physically for us, she's still around mentally. She's still another one of our captains. But not having Haley on the field, Kennedy's had to take on a little bit more weight when it comes to being that girl for us. And she's our leadoff hitter, slapper, strong kid, good kid, does everything right all the time. She's phenomenal. She's going to have a fantastic season as long as when it's her turn to play the game, she just lets go and has, because coming from somebody, am I still on, Rock?
Yep, you're good.
Okay, perfect. Sorry, I just saw it load for a second. So coming from somebody who I was a captain as a freshman and a sophomore when I went to Herkimer, it's hard being the leader of the team and still performing yourself because you're worried about everybody else. So I hope she's listening. My advice to Kenny is just let go and play. And if she does that, then the team will follow. Michaela Howard, since her name got brought up too, Mac is that girl behind the plate. She's been there for 4 seasons, and everybody looks at her. And same thing, she's just got to go out and play and trust. That's something that was huge for us last year, and our success is, trust what you got, trust what brought you here, and trust what you see out there on the field. Don't overthink it. Don't overanalyze. Just play. And if she can do that and she just lets loose and she hits the ball for us, the team's going to follow her too. She's going to be right in that meat of the lineup, Mac, to help score some runs for us. She's got a lot of power. She's got a lot of smarts in the box. She knows how to hit the ball in different locations, and she knows how to get it out to the green for us. So she's going to be huge. And she's phenomenal behind the plate. We got 4 pitchers this year on the team.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's astronomical. I've never had 4 pitchers who can throw quite like these girls. And Mac is our girl behind the plate. That's going to get it done. So I got a lot of faith in that kid. And I expect that at the end of the season, she's got a lot of accolades, and we're going to see her picture online. A couple other seniors, Maddie Safin. She's definitely a leader for us. She's my everything kid. If I need a first baseman, if I need a third baseman, if I need an outfielder, if I need a pitcher, she's the first name that I'm looking at. She can do everything. She's a true utility player, and she does everything to the best of her ability. Yes, coach, I got you. Let's go. She's a meat of the lineup kid. She's probably, I would say, between last year and the beginning of this year so far in the first 4 games, she's our most consistent hitter. She just hits the ball hard and good line drives and gets on base, and she can bunt and move Kennedy over if I need to. And that consistency on the field is going to be huge for us. You don't always have to be the captain. You don't always have to be like the rah-rah kid to be a leader. If you just go out and play and you do the right things, and you're someone that we know that when you're in the box and the game's on the line, if the whole team is relaxed, you're a leader. Yep. And that's Maddie Safin for us, I think. Another senior, Barbara Ciotti. I'm so excited to watch this kid play this year because I keep saying to her, it's Barbara time. In the years past, she's always had somebody else that's just in front of her, and she's had time, but she's had to compete with somebody else. And this season, it's her position now, and she's just got to keep it. And she's been working so hard on her craft. You can tell she's like the coach's success story, and she's done so much to get better. She's done so much to get stronger. And it's when she steps in the batter's box, it's a confidence thing for her. If she's confident and she knows that she can do it, then she'll do it. And I just got to make sure that she always feels that confidence, because if a coach doesn't feel confident in their player, the player will know whether the coach wants to or not. The player's going to know. And with her, she's got to always know that the coaches are so confident in her, and she can be confident in herself and go make it happen. Let's see. God, I have so many seniors. I'm going to forget some.
Well, you know what? You were talking about pitching. That was kind of my next note on my sheet here. Is at any level, they always say whoever has pitching's got a really good shot to make a run, even when you get into the playoffs. And you mentioned 4. With Madison, you got Sophia, you got Amelia, then you got an 8th grader who's a spitfire too, and Wendy. What do you do with 4 pitchers? How do you manage 4 pitchers?
Easily. They all are good at something else too. So, if they're not in the circle, they're going to be somewhere else doing something else. So, I think the thing with, going back to the seniors, Soph Tosti, she's a huge stick in the lineup. I mean, I've never seen another human male or female, hit the ball harder than that kid, and I mentioned that last year too. When she squares one up, man, it'll go 300 easily. So I have big expectations for her elsewhere besides the circle, but she's going to be huge for us in the circle too, as long as she stays strong and stays tight. There's one other senior that I haven't mentioned yet is I'll come back to the pitchers in a second is Emma Lopez. Emma Lopez is another coach's success story. She played for me on JV for 2 years. Last year she was a junior for us, and she was the role kid. She was the kid that we won a lot of games because of Emma Lopez, and it wasn't that she was the 3-4 hitter or the star defenseman. She was our best base runner, and she scored a lot of runs because she was really smart on the bases, and she knew there was a couple girls that were up to bat. She already had her helmet in her hand because she knew that if they got on base, I was calling her, and she had her helmet on, sprinted out, and she just got the job done. Well, this year is her year too. She's got the opportunity to go out and show what she's got, and go out and play, and I expect big things from her too. Our success is going to be right on those kinds of kids, those kids that are that middle of the pack, holding strong, being tough outs for teams, and getting on base and being scrappy and going play. And I expect that out of Emma. But going back to the pitchers, I'll talk about Maddie and Soph. We've had them for many, many years. We know what types of pitchers they are. But Amelia and Wendy, those are kind of like our X factors. So Amelia last year as a freshman did phenomenal. She could spin it. She could spin it out. She could spin it in. She could change it up. She can hit spots. The thing with Amelia is making sure that she stays strong and she stays healthy, and that she stays a good balanced in the circle. Because I think sometimes it's easy because she's grown too. I mean, she probably grew 2 to 3 inches since last year. So as a pitcher gets longer and taller, it's hard to control your body, and that's in any sport. You know what I mean? So she's kind of reaching her peak physically, and it's a matter of making sure that Coach Beer and I are make sure that we take care of her and keep her right all year. She's gonna be our ace probably to start, and the others are gonna hold the rope and do their job when it's their turn, because they all got something different to offer. Going on with Wendy, I mean, geez, 8th grade, we go down to Myrtle Beach. We're playing a team called Boyd County. And 2 of those girls on that team, one of them has a full ride to Kentucky. The other one's going to Marshall. And Wendy strikes those kids out and gets them to pop up. A little 8th grader, 13, 14 years old. And she's doing that to those kinds of quality caliber hitters. I mean, geez, imagine what she's going to do in 3-4 years' time. She's that kid that she's got a couple pitches that she throws really, really well. You get these pitchers are like, oh, I can throw 8 pitches. Yeah, but how many of them can you throw for strikes and hit your spot? Wendy already understands from a young age that hitting your spot sometimes is more important than having a rise ball and a drop ball and a curve ball and a screw ball. She hits her spot really well with 3 really good pitches. She's working on a couple more, but she knows right now the importance of hitting your spot and getting the job done.
And Coach, last year, I mean, you mentioned right out of the gate, Whitesboro, New Hartford, you guys will play this year. New Hartford, Notre Dame's going to return some key players as well. Talk to us just about the strength of the TVL this year.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I said this last year. I mean, college coaches, come watch the Mohawk Valley. These TVL teams are really strong. Whitesboro coming off of a successful season, New Hartford coming off of a successful season. I mean, I just watched New Hartford just beat Baldwinsville 12-2, so our biggest competition is right here in our backyard. And like I say to the girls, I mean, I don't care if we're playing a Little League team or if we're playing Arizona University, as long as we focus on ourselves and we play the best of our abilities. It doesn't matter who's on the other side of the field. I think we will compete with anybody that we play with if we play to our potential.
Well, Coach, I'm excited to see you up at the field this season. I'll try to stop. What's the schedule next week?
So this week we got Tuesday at New Hartford. Thursday is our home opener. We're actually having a ribbon cutting ceremony at school because we got the new turf up there at the high school. Beautiful complex. Really, really happy that we have it. Obviously, upstate New York, spring sports is very difficult with weather and whatnot. And being able to get right back out in the field 5 minutes after it rains is a blessing. And it's a privilege. So I'm happy that we have that. So the ribbon cutting ceremony is at 3:45. The game's just after at 4:30. And then the following week, we got 5 games in 6 days. We go Holland Patton, Proctor, Camden, West Jenny, and Guilderland. So big games coming up in 2
Big
weeks.
games.
Yeah.
Lot in 2 weeks, that's for sure. But
Yep.
tell Coach Beer we'll get him on again because
Yeah.
I know he'd have a lot to say here this morning. But
Oh,
we'll do
yeah,
it again.
absolutely.
Always like talking to you, and we'll be pulling for. Hope I'll see you next Thursday.
Thanks, Rock. I appreciate you.
All right, Coach. Thank you.
Yep. Bye.
All right, we go from one to the other here. I love it. Coach, what's happening this morning?
How are we doing today?
It's going good. Get to talk some softball, get to talk some baseball here to start my Sunday, to switch gears from college basketball and one shining moment and all that. So it's great. What's going on?
Nothing. Just getting ready for the grind of the season to kick off this week. And like Coach Collins said, it gets crazy here in the Northeast. So we're ready to go.
So, Coach, let's start last year. How did last season? Because last season I was going back and looking at some of the schedule. You guys didn't finish the way I'm sure you guys wanted to finish last year. But how much does that end of the season fuel you guys for this season?
It's just a confidence thing for a lot of the kids to know that we can compete and be in almost any baseball game we can. Those things are huge. Sometimes the outcome, you look past that, but like you said, it's the little things that build up to that, and being able to compete with the top teams in the section obviously is going to benefit going down the road.
So any key lessons from last season that you'll take into this season for you guys?
One of the things we just do the little things. Sometimes like I just said, you get stuck in the box score and that final score, but winning the little battles. And baseball is a funny game. Things can be rolling at 1 minute, and then all of a sudden you get an inning where the wheels fall off. And it's being able to kind of get through those adversity moments and stay the course and just keep battling every pitch, every at bat, every inning. And like you said, it's a grind when you're playing 5 or 6 games in a week. It's got to be a short fuse, short memory, flush it, forget it, bounce back the next day. So.
And Coach, you guys will have to replace a couple key pitchers that were on the mound for you guys last year. What's going to be the challenge? How do you fill those missing pieces?
Yeah, and that's people have asked, what's the outlook for this year, and it's going to be that we're gonna have to put runs on the board. Last year we had 2 guys who'd been in the program for 2 or 3 years that when you ran them out there, and Michael Cadanato and Bobby Jock, you knew you would get 4, 5, 6 innings out of them, if not a complete game. And that's the thing. What we're going to have to replace is, especially when you're playing 4 or 5 games kind of in a week, is trying to figure out what combination of pitchers go well together. It's good. We're not going to win a whole lot of games 3-2. A lot of games going to be 8-9, 10-9, things like that. Our first game we played there 2 weeks ago or 10 days ago against Carthage. He coach said, "How you looking?" I said, "We're not winning games 3-2. We're going to win games 10-9." And that was the final score. And extra innings was 10-9. So that's just how it is. We're not to outslug guys. We're going to play good defense, and just throw strikes,
And Coach, this year's roster too, I think you got a lot of upperclassmen, right? You got a lot of juniors on this team. What's going to be the role of those guys, and how do you translate that experience?
Yeah, that junior class is what's going to drive the bus. We have 3 seniors. 2 of them are kind of what we call POs, just pitchers. But that junior class is really going to kind of carry the load this year. And I think it's going to benefit us next year because they've already been into those leadership roles as juniors when they hop back in next year as seniors. So, like I said, we got a good group of guys. I like them. They're enjoyable to be around every day. And we're just going to keep grinding. They're a bunch of grinders.
And Coach, you returned Braden Meeks, Mark Barone's back. I think you got Jack's back, Ortiz is back for you. How key are those 3 guys going to play?
Yeah, you got, like you said, you got Mark, you got Braden Meeks, you got JJ, you got Dante. I mean, all those guys have been in big game situations and played in big moments outside of baseball, whether it's the hockey guys playing in sectional finals. And, JJ's been part of the basketball program that's made some sectional runs. All that experience kind of in that moment is big because sometimes, like you said, you get in that moment, whether it's baseball, basketball, hockey, and it's just different. Your body reaction time and things. It's all that whole mental thing. It's clutch to have that experience. So, you look at our season so far. We played 2 games, and both games have went extra innings. They've been tight games. So we've already seen the kind of the pressure, I guess you would say, early on. And for the most part, I think we've handled it very well. Like the first game, we were up, then we kind of had a moment where the wheels kind of fell off in an inning, and we give up a big number, and we bounce back, and then we walk them off. And then yesterday we played a really good Colony team. We hadn't played in 9 or 10 days, and they run a kid out there he's committed to Rhode Island, and he's hitting 90, 92, and our guys didn't flinch. We put up a number in the first inning. We got up 2-0 on them. They tie it 2-2. We go down 4-2. We battle back 4-4, and we lose an 5-4. So just that adversity and being able to the first 2 games.
And Coach, I was just asking Coach Emily too about the TVL, and I know I ask all you guys about this question. Last year I was looking through it. Whitesboro was really good. New Hartford was really good. Proctor was good. Camden and Helm Patton finished the year strong. How competitive is the league going to be this year?
Yeah, it's kind of funny, but it kind of looks down a little bit on the TVL from outside. But when you get into it, every day is a battle, and especially when you're one of the larger schools, some of the schools who aren't as big as RFA or Proctor, you're going to get their best every day. No matter if you're having a down season or an up season, you kind of have that target in your back. Everybody kind of wants to go out and beat the big dog, whatever. So it's a grind every day. A little bit different this year for the baseball aspect is they schedule a little bit different. So this year you're facing. So if we play New Hartford, for example, who we play tomorrow, we play them Monday, Tuesday. So it's almost like a mini series against them. Yep. Right now it happens you play them on Wednesday, and then the team from the other division, like a Camden and a Holland Patton, we would play them Thursday. So, for example, we played New Hartford Monday, Tuesday, and then Camden comes on Thursday. And I think the following week it's similar to that. We play Whitesboro on Monday, Tuesday, and I think Holland Patton. So that's going to change things up. So, you're not going to be able to see New Hartford's number 1 every time in the 2 games, or Proctor's number 1, or Whitesboro, and the same thing with us. So you're really going to have to kind of map out the pitching, a little bit more strategy to it, and things like that. So it'd be interesting how that plays out too, because you're playing a team beginning of the year can be totally different than you play that team towards the end of the year. So we'll see how that weighs out as far as how it goes this year with playing the team back-to-back days.
Yeah, and I would think too, even from a coaching standpoint, you got to manage, those 2 games a little bit differently than you would if it was just a 1 game. So, do you like that format better than what it was?
I think it'll make it more interesting. I mean, especially if you have a tight knit game on Monday, maybe the heat, tempers get a little flared. It'd be interesting to see how it rolls in on Tuesday. So. But I like that. So it sees the depth of each team, like you said. Sometimes you can kind of plot out, okay, we've got a team this way, we're going to throw this guy, but then we can bounce him back, later on down the season. So, well, this guy, you got to have arms, you got to have guys. So I think it's going to make it a little more competitive and interesting as well.
So, Coach, you got a new look pitching staff here. You got some veterans that are returning. What do you think the identity of this team is going to be as the season goes?
We have a couple returners as far as pitching that have pitched there, but we're going to have guys that haven't really pitched. I mean, their whole kind of thing in this preseason up through is we have 16 guys on the roster, and I think we've had probably 10 of them at least throw bullpens in the gym at some point. Now, will all 10 throw in a game? Probably not, but we've had guys like, Dante Sprace and Braden Meeks that probably haven't pitched since Little League, and Nick Malarzo and things like that. So all those guys are going to have to, at some point, throw innings for us, especially when we're, like you said, if you're playing 4 or 5 games in a week. I think our lineup, from 1 to 7 can compete with anybody. We can swing it. We're going to be in games. It's just, like I said, handling adversity and managing that pitching staff, especially when you get back-to-back games.
And I know you talked about some of the keys early here when we jumped on, but what do you think for this group's going to be the early keys to get through the first half of the schedule and then hopefully make a run late in the season?
It's just keep grinding and staying positive. Like everybody, sometimes get frustrated. And, Rock, you played baseball. Baseball is a game of failure. You're going to fail 6, 7 times out of 10 at the plate. Guys, you're going to give up, 4 or 5 runs an inning as a pitcher. It's just understanding that stay the course, next play. Everybody's not going to go 4 for 4 on a night and strike out 10 guys. So for those kids, just remember, hey, I made a mistake. Bounce back at it, make the next play, make something else happen. And I think that's the biggest thing almost with any sport is just getting these kids to have that short-term memory, forget it, flush it, move on, go make a play, and things like that, not get stuck in the past.
So I got to get up to see some games. I have not seen. I drove by the field and I asked Coach Emily the same question about what's it like to play on that field. What's your thoughts? How's the field and kids like it?
Yeah, I think Coach Cowell mentioned there. I caught her at the end. The biggest thing is the number of days we've been outside. Even with the this spring season, we actually started a week earlier than normal. So the number of times that we've been outside has just been really beneficial. I mean, like I said, we played Carthage back there on the 31st or whatever, and their coach is like, we've only been outside twice. And at that point, we'd been outside like 6 or 7 times. And like the fact, like Coach Cowell said, like, yeah, it can be raining all day. And then if there's a window between, like, let's say 3 to 4, 3 to 4:30, we can get on the turf. Or in the past, playing at the stadium or on grass, any type of rain sometimes wash out into that. And now we're looking for gym time. And like just as said, it's a little darker. We want to go later. We can flip the lights on for practice. Just those things have been so much nicer. We have 2 cages, 2 bullpens, so we can get a lot of stuff going during practice. We can be a lot more efficient during practice. We like a lot of the things we've done this year is just throwing live. So we can get 2 guys in the bullpen throwing live. We can get a guy in the field throwing live. So we can at times have 3 batter catcher live scenarios and getting batters live looks, where in the past we've had kind of 1 cage or things like that. So that has been super beneficial. Obviously, playing over at the stadium at about 4:30, 5 o'clock, that left field, third base can be brutal with the sun.
Yeah.
And you're just kind of blinding. Hopefully you don't wear one. So that's been different. The kids just getting every true hop, and we're still figuring things out. I think even visiting teams will figure things out. My brother, he's the coach at Canastota, so they came down over break just to scrimmage, and even sliding on the turf is different. They had 2 guys over slide a bag, and we just kind of tagged them out. So there's be a lot of learning curves to this, and things like that. Outfielders, you miss a ground ball, you might be running for a bit to the fence. So just our approach and things like that has been different. But like you said, it's just really nice to have it and know that, most of the time you have a home game, we're going to play it. Even if there's kind of a hard rain at 4:30, we have the ability to push it to 6:30, 7 o'clock and make it a night game. So I think that's going to be beneficial for us not to be looking for rain out dates and things like that. And I think that's kind of the vibe all the way around. If you look at it, like Whitesboro has turf, Proctor has turf.
Yep.
Really only one on our side doesn't have turf, New Hartford. Camden on the other side. So I think that's going to make things a lot easier, a lot less congested when you're looking for makeup days as well.
Man, I just remember at the old RFA stadium when I played short, that whole left side period in a sunny day when that ball got up there, man, it was brutal. You didn't
About 5 o'clock, you didn't know where it was coming, right? Yeah,
Nope.
You didn't want to play too close. So yeah, that's nice.
So I think that's awesome. I can't wait to see it.
The best, Brock, I'm going to tell you, the best spot to watch it, though, is up on the hill by the school. You can see everything. You can look down, you see everything, you hear everything. It's kind of a cool look. So my wife has found that spot pretty quick.
All right. I might have to check that out tomorrow. I don't have anything going on tomorrow, so I'll be up there. What time do you guys play tomorrow?
Tomorrow, we're actually away tomorrow.
Oh, you're away.
We're at New Hartford. We're home on Tuesday and home on Thursday. But what's been nice, too, is our JVs has had the chance as well to really use that field. So they've had 2 games, I think, there as well and things like that. So it's not just benefiting the varsity, it's benefiting, the JV kids as well. They've got some practices there. So that's a big bonus, too, when you have 2 teams benefiting the facility as well.
So, Coach, last thing I'll ask you, if this team's playing their best baseball late in the season, what's that look like?
We're just locked in, playing strike, tough defensive defense. Our biggest thing we have to do is we have to come through with those clutch hits. Yesterday, like I said, we were right with Colony, who always makes a deep run in the playoffs in their section out of Albany, and we just couldn't come through with that hit with runners in scoring position. We had bases loaded 2 or 3 times, and we just can't find that hit. So I think, clutch hitting, locked in defense, and then, like I said, our pitchers just pounding the zone, right? We're not going to blow anybody away with high velocity, but pounding the zone, letting our defense make plays, and that's what we're going to look like late in the season.
So, Coach, non-baseball question. I see you got the Derek Coleman jersey behind you. You like the GMAC hire?
I do. I think he's bringing some energy back. Hopefully he has success. After Adrian Autry didn't, how do you get rid of this? It's going to be a tough situation, but I like what he's done so far. Every day I check the phone, to see if we got anybody in the transfer portal. I see we picked up a guy yesterday. So I like it. I'm excited about it. It seems like it's fresh. Might bring back some of the interest and do away with some of the doubters, and bring back positive energy to the Dome.
He was great in the press conference. I know that. He won the press conference for sure. I love GMAC. My only question with all this NIL stuff is it's you fire a coach and then the university says, well, we're going to put more into the program. We're going to invest more. Why didn't you invest more when Adrian Autry was there?
You're right, and I think so too. Like I read an article yesterday, like I think it was last year they said the average NIL money was 8 to 10 million, and now they're up to saying 12 to 15 million. I mean, just like anything in the world, everything starts going up in price and price and price, and it just takes one person, one player to put out a outrageous number to ask for, and one university to say yes, and then now everybody's asking for that money. So it's tough. It's really tough, and it's like you look at some of these guys that are coming in, and they got 1 year eligibility left. It's like, how do you really grasp those guys? Like as opposed to when the kids came in as freshmen and you really built around them and you saw their growth. Like you said, it's a tough job as a coach for a college level, because it's basically, what have you done for me lately? You got to win or get out, and sometimes it's tough to do when you got a revolving door, and that if guys aren't happy, they're leaving, and it makes it a really tough situation, but I guess that's the job you signed up for. So that's what comes with it too. When you look at Dusty May and he pulls transfers and they win the national championship and he gets a new contract, so you look at both sides of it, I guess. So.
Well, I'm happy for Autry landed on his feet. He got an assistant job.
Yeah, it looks like most of those guys did too, though. I mean, I saw one guy went to Pepperdine. Another guy's going to be at BC with a new UConn assistant going over there. So it looks like a lot of those guys, found work quickly. I was a little surprised I didn't see Ryan Blackwell come back yet. I thought he might, and maybe he still does, come back with GMAC, come back to Syracuse. I know they brought Arenze back as an assistant, but I thought Ryan, being from Liverpool, coaching at Liverpool, would be a shoo-in to come back, but you never know. So,
yeah, we'll see. That's for sure. I just hope when Autry comes back with an opposing team that they don't boo him. And
like you said, I think for the most part, I think Cuse fans will show him appreciation just because he's in the Syracuse family and for what he did as a player, things like that, and like I said, a lot of that too has to come on some of the players. You're getting paid money at some point. You have to step up, and I was always a huge JJ Starling fan, even when he was in high school basketball, but like. He didn't produce. He didn't, he was coming over from Notre Dame as a freshman. They're talking about possibly NBA as a freshman, and I don't know what happened, but he just seemed like his game kind of regressed, So like I said, some of it goes on Autry, but some of these guys, you're being paid the money. you got to step up and produce too. So.
Well, Coach, listen, look forward to seeing you up at the field, and good luck this season. We'll do it again, and hope to see you the next home game. I'll be up there to watch.
I appreciate it, Rox. Thanks for supporting local sports as well.
You got it, man. Thanks, Coach.
Take care.
So that was Coach Evan Howard, who's done a good job here in Rome. Coach Cowell's done a great job as well in Rome. And, it's great to see the field. I've driven by it. I have not seen a game up there live, but I'm just going back to like when I played. It was, to be able to play on turf. And I think the key thing that I picked up from both those coaches is if it's a home game scheduled and it's a torrential downpour, you got a chance to still play that game. You can flip the switch on, play it at night. What better way to play a baseball game and under the lights, which I think is awesome for the kids. So it's great to see it. I got to get up and see. I wrote it down to when softball's home and when baseball's home, to get up there and catch a few games this season. I'll talk to both those coaches throughout the season, I'm sure. So thank you to Coach Howard and Coach Emily for jumping on with me here this morning. It was great to get back behind the mic to talk some local sports. We'll do it again next week. And as always, I say thanks for following the Mohawk Valley Sportswatch, and thanks for following the Wolverine Daily, the Rock Pile, and all the shows that I put out there on social media. So enjoy the weekend, everybody. We'll see you again next Sunday right here on the Mohawk Valley Sportswatch. Have a good weekend, everybody.